I knew him when he was young in the business, and he's now the president of baseball operations with the Rangers. John Daniels, a friend of the show, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. JD, I haven't talked to you in a while. Last year seemed like a blur. I guess I'll start with that. Was last year kind of a blur for even you and baseball in general?
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. It was obviously the year was crazy with everything going on in the world. And then the 60 games season was crazy. We didn't play well, so that didn't help. We probably wanted to forget some of it, but this year's been fun as far as just a little bit of a reminder, kind of why we all do it, and really enjoying the game. And it helps that we've played better baseball as well.
Well, I got to tell you, and I told John Blake this. I watched that game Saturday night, and not just that one game, but I've watched enough. And I think last year for me, watching baseball sometimes was background music. I had games on, but it was hard because things were so sporadic or erratic, whatever. JD, you've got a fun team. I don't know how long they'll be able to tread water. I don't know what's going to be the outcome, neither do you. But you've got a team that seems to play their you-know-what's off. Is that what you see as well?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of guys that are enjoying being together. I think they've got something to prove individually and also as a team. I think Woody and the coaching staff done a great job. Part of the reason that we've played better is that we've worked hard. These guys have worked hard. Each of them has gotten a little bit better individually. We're out early every day. They're getting after it. They're taking pride in it, and then you see it on the field. It's a fun group. There are days that matchups that we're going to get out talented a little bit, just as far as where we are in our roster construction, but the effort level, the desire, the way we play, our pitchers are attacking the strike zone, or we're in every game. Our guys are they don't get down if we're down a run or two. Come back. We typically bring the tying run to the plate, whether we get it done or not. We'll see, but it's a fun group to watch, and I think what you just touched on with Saturday night was kind of maybe the most fun game so far. But I think the fans are really enjoying it.
How hard was it to assess a team on only 60 games last year and not fall into a rabbit hole of, well, this is what we are, because you played barely more than a third of what you would normally do?
Yeah, I think more on an individual level. I think it's hard to really evaluate some of the players individually because one, it's just not fair. I mean, 60 games is like just like a slow start or a hot start. Could cut either way, but. Listen, how many of us were at our best last year? I mean, last year was tough, man. I mean, think about what we went through as a society, not just, in baseball, but with the pandemic and the politics and, social justice topics. And it was a lot. The economy, the people losing their jobs, sick. I mean, it was a lot. And so, the players are no different. They dealt with all the same things, all the same pressures on a bigger stage. Some guys were fortunate, were able to train on their own in a good way and come back into camp and be ready to go. Some guys weren't; they were behind, and they never got it back. So I think on an individual level, it was not fair to really evaluate it. I think on a team level, I mean, listen, it wasn't hard to look at it where we were at. We knew going into last year it was going to be a little bit of a stretch, but then it was clear like we weren't playing the game the way that we needed to. And so, we went into the off season and say, listen, we're going to clean some things up. We're going to focus on getting some guys in here with something to prove, to play with some energy, and at a bare minimum, like we're going to throw strikes and we're going to catch the ball and play clean baseball and go from there.
John, what's it been like to see the rise in the past month of the way Adolis Garcia has played? I think tomorrow will actually be a month since he was officially put on the active roster. What's it been like to see his play so far?
It's been fun, man. It's been fun. He's just a fun player. He's a fun guy. Like he plays with passion. He loves the game. He exudes energy and huge smile on his face at all times. I think he's a guy that's genuinely grateful for the opportunity to play the game at this level, and it shows. He was kind of overlooked as far as the industry goes on a few different levels, right? I mean, he comes out of Cuba, wasn't super highly regarded, goes to Japan, then ultimately gets an opportunity with the Cardinals. They take him off the 40-man after not really getting an opportunity. We got him for kind of a cheap deal. And then, to be fair, we didn't give him an opportunity last year and on an extended look. And, we took him off the roster. And he never got down. He kept working. He was probably our best player in spring training. Didn't make the club, but was the first guy we went to. And he just everything he does, he's one of these players you can't stop watching on the field.
It seems like to me that baseball, and I'm not trying to say these are all stars. We know Tatis and Paul Atlanta, the
Acuna.
Yeah. And then, of course, Soto. There's a lot of great young players. Of course, Trout's now a veteran. But it seems like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're around it every single day, there seems to be an infusion of youth and energy that not saying all great players, but an infusion of youth and energy that I don't remember all combining at one time. Would you agree with that?
I would. That these, they're talented, and it's not just talented; they're skilled too. You watch the at bats some of these guys take, and they don't chase. And Juan Soto, the at bats this guy takes at 21, 22 years old on the biggest stage, 2 years ago in the World Series, and he just the confidence that he has when he goes out there, and they're a lot of fun to watch, man. I'm excited about this next generation of players. It's gonna be great for the game.
This is the first, maybe full week that you guys have had everybody you kind of wanted to have in your starting nine, at least in the field. I know that pitching wise, there's still some guys you don't have, but where you are right now with the roster you thought you had, you feel pretty comfortable moving forward. If these guys can stay healthy, you can keep at this pace.
I think so. I mean, I think from a position player club, we feel like we've gotten to a point where 1 through 9 you're gonna get a quality at bat. There's some areas that we can clean up for sure. We've definitely chased a little bit. We've been exposed here the last couple of days on some guys with good change-ups and really defensively, I don't think we've played our best here the last week. We can be better in that area. Left field kind of stands out as an area we could probably continue to get better at defensively. But you look around the diamond, Nate Lowe's is in his first full year, Solak second year, Kiner really first year as an everyday shortstop. The two catchers are kind of in their second year. Adolis his first look. Willie Calhoun probably his second full season. I mean, it's a lot of guys that are just kind of figuring themselves out, and that's kind of the fun part I think for our fans is that there's a feeling that not only are they had some good moments, but that they're young, they're getting better, they're playing together, and that they have a chance to be here for a while.
Dane Dunning has been a nice start for a young player for you. On the mound, in just 26. So what do you think his ceiling is?
Big time competitor. That's just kind of coming into his own. I think he has some unique pitches with the way his sinker works that hitters just don't get a good look at it. So I think it plays even above the velocity there. Really good slider, gets a lot of swing and miss on, and a changeup that's gotten better. So I don't want to put any limits on him. I mean, I think he's already pitching like a solid middle of the order quality starter, but I think he's a big time competitor that just knows how to pitch and utilize his stuff, and kind of see where he ultimately takes it.
There's a couple of months 2.5 months until the end of July. But John, I think it's a fair question that you have this team that's a mixture of guys like Kyle Gibson and what he's done. We just mentioned as well the young player that you brought up, Aldonis. But you're a team that's still kind of not real sure where you are. Are you, when players are playing well, how do you, as a fan, if a baseball fan, a Rangers fan gets kind of attached to somebody, what can you say about, are they players are your future, or are they players to help build your future with trades?
It's a great question. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have to answer it just yet.
Yeah.
We've got some time to evaluate. And I think for the most part, a lot of the guys I ran through that are going to be here for a period of time are guys that we want to build around and want to be here. You're always going to look for stars. You're always going to look to, you can elevate the top of the roster. I think that's something we're going to have to do. But that's been our goal. That's what we're trying to put together, is a group of guys that are in their 20s that can play together, stay together, and grow together. Will we trade some guys in July? We're not necessarily looking to tear it down, but if there are guys that make more sense elsewhere and they're willing to give us the pieces that we need, we're gonna look at that. But we're not approaching the deadline as though there's anybody we have to move.
Free agency has changed so much over the last few years, and JD, when you first got into this, free agency was the first week was a free for all. I mean, everybody was just going nuts. Now it's clearly changed for many different reasons. How does that change the way that you approach year to year, whether you guys will get aggressive in free agency or, wait to see when the dust settles?
I think we'll take it on an individual basis, player by player. I think hopefully this off season the league and the players come to an early agreement in terms of CBA. So we have waiver situation. We know what the system looks like, and I think that'll probably dictate somewhat of how free agency goes, or at least will for us a little bit, understanding what the system is going to be. I think we're at a point where we've got some flexibility. We don't have a lot of obligations, financial obligations beyond this year. And so, with the new ballpark, especially, we should be in a position where, if there's the right fit out there in free agency, we can engage with it.
It's interesting because you got the new stadium, and that sucked last year that it opens up when, of course, you have to battle with COVID, but then they get to host all the great things in the postseason. When you look at, I thought the ballpark in Arlington, and I know it's Globe Life Field, whatever, it was amazing. But you have this place, and I haven't been to it yet, but I'm going to be there. What about it, John, as far as how much that is? How much does that infuse money, even with attendance being what it is? And you guys lead the league in attendance because you've opened up. How good of a ballpark is it?
The best way to put it is, if you get a chance to ask any players, our own or our visiting players, the returns that we've got on it, what guys have said have just been outstanding. The visiting teams that come through here, they all rave about it. The amenities, the clubhouse, the field. It's interesting. We're playing on a turf field, and nobody even talks about it because the turf is playing so well. And I don't think guys don't even really notice anything relative to the grass or turf. It feels so good under the foot. But it's obviously beautiful with all the amenities for the fans. I'm excited about the word to continue to get around the league and free agents ultimately hear about it, because I think it just adds to why this will be a great place for players to come play.
Craig, you have one more for JD, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, JD, I was just curious, your thoughts. Baseball's tried to, with their rules in some cases, be flexible, be kind of cutting edge to try and, spark interest in baseball or keep the game interesting. Just what have you thought, about baseball's efforts to try and kind of spice up the game? And where do you feel like the game of baseball is currently in the grand scheme of things, the trajectory?
Yeah, so I'll say this, I am generally of the mindset that we have a great game, we have a great product, but there have been some major changes in the game, the way it's played, unintentionally affecting the way it's played, that I don't think it necessarily makes for the best version of the game that we have. So I'm glad we're exploring some of these things. I don't think we're going to do anything that's crazy or dramatic to the game. But most of these things are being tested in the minor leagues, so we have a better understanding how they actually affect play. They're all intended to, create more action on the field, more balls in play, more base running opportunities, more stolen bases, more extra base hits. Where we've gone with training athletes, the pitching is so good that, there are just so many strikeouts in the game. We're at an all-time high in strikeouts, an all-time low in hits, an all-time high in walk. And I think it's fair to question is that what we want for the game? Is that what our fans want? Mm-hmm. And every other sport has introduced over the course of time. The NBA, obviously, the 3-point line, and then when they changed the zone defense rules, wasn't allowed for a long time. And NHL makes changes. The NFL has done a lot of smart things to protect the quarterback, and then you've got Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and these guys doing crazy things at a little more advanced stages. You got these great offenses that these guys can run. It's a better game, and I think baseball is just looking at some of the same things. And so I'm glad we're looking at it. I think it makes sense to test these things in the minor leagues. We have a unique situation where we can really get our arms around it and understand what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And as an industry, I'm sure we'll make good decisions and implement some things that'll make the game a better product for the fans.
JD, last thing, and your title has changed, and obviously it's a different title when you say president of baseball operations. We know your role for the longest of times. How much has it changed? What do you do?
So Chris Young joined us this offseason, general manager, known CY for a long time. We're very close. Very bright guy, played for a long time in the big leagues. Local guy, Texas background. So a lot of things we work on together, along with the other guys in the front office in our group. But what it has allowed also to do is divide and conquer. And so he's able to spend some more time in certain areas. I probably spent a little less time on the minor league side here recently, and it allows me to focus in certain areas more. But the industry and our operation has grown so much in the last 10, 15 years that the job is just it's large. It's a huge operation. It's not a small group anymore. We have 250 baseball ops employees, and I think it was time. It was time to bring in somebody with some new ideas and somebody to help just manage the whole thing.
JD, thank you all as always. You've always been great to come on. Appreciate your time. Good luck with this. What I think is an exciting team to watch with so many personalities and different type of players from different backgrounds. Thanks for your time.
All right, Smokey. Thank you both.
Jon Daniels, Rangers president of baseball operations.